Meet Alex. Alex has a deadline right around the corner, and there's pressure to complete this important project. In today's world, it's not just work that demands our attention, because social media is just a tap away. Time slips away when we engage in these distractions, and the important work remains undone. Oh no, look at the time. The assignment's due in 1 hour. This is a daily battle that many of us face. Alex knows that he needs to reclaim the time and attention he lost. He must learn to balance the demands of the digital world with his real-world goals. We've put a 40-second timer on the bottom left of the video. Our goal will be to give you the main takeaways from the video so that you can get all the essential information you need. Number 1. Social media use triggers the release of a hormone called dopamine, which can cause reward-seeking behavior. Number 2. The brain can actually adapt and change in response to experiences. Therefore, heavy social media use can lead to decreased gray matter volume in regions of the brain involved in decision-making and self-control. Number 3. A shortened attention span can lead to performing poorly on academic tasks and can even strain relationships. To prevent social media dependency and avoid its negative consequences, you can try turning off notifications, turning on Do Not Disturb, deleting apps to declutter social media. Well, that's the main takeaway from this video, so if you're anxious to get back on TikTok, we completely understand. But if you're intrigued and want to learn a little bit more about this topic, please feel free to stay and watch the rest of the video. Attention span is primarily controlled by the brain's prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for executive functions like sustaining attention, working memory, and impulse control. The prefrontal cortex communicates with other brain regions, such as the parietal cortex, to direct attention to relevant stimuli. Social media use triggers the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward, which creates reward-seeking behavior. Because of neuroplasticity, which means the brain adapts and changes in response to experiences and stimuli, the excessive use of social media can lead to chronic multitasking and reduce attention span and have a lasting impact on the brain's structure and function. Some studies have shown that heavy social media use, mainly in adolescents, can be associated with decreased gray matter volume in regions of the brain involved in decision-making and self-control.
Gray matter is like the thinking machine of the brain. You might be wondering, what is gray matter and why is it gray? Well, gray matter is composed of unmyelinated parts of a neuron or nerve cell. Unmyelinated refers to the part of the nerve cell that is not covered by a protective layer called myelin sheath. You can think of gray matter as an exposed wire that transmits signals, but not as well as fully insulated wire. Gray matter is mostly made up of the cell bodies of nerve cells and other unmyelinated parts. It is vital for everyday activities and complex thinking, which is why keeping the brain healthy and taking good care of it is important.
Neurologically, multitasking is generally inefficient, as it requires the brain to constantly switch between tasks and reduces the depth and duration of attention to each single task. To see these processes in an observable form, a specific study had 120 high school participants complete a questionnaire to indicate their phone usage levels. The experimenters used a Stroop task to test for selective memory. The Stroop task is when the word and color of the word are incongruent. For example, the word purple in the color green. When participants completed this task, those with excessive phone usage levels had the worst performance. The effects of shortened attention span go way beyond an experimental task. They show up in your everyday life too. The first adverse effect someone may face is the ability to finish school assignments. It can start to become progressively challenging and less enjoyable when contrasted with enticing and captivating online content. As students effortlessly access immediate gratification, they tend to develop a habit of procrastination, which subsequently leads to diminished academic achievements. Concerning the second point, apps like Instagram encourage users to scroll endlessly through posts. Apps like this collectively hinder users from genuinely absorbing and deeply comprehending information. This further shows how social media platforms foster the habit of mindless and swift consumption, enticing the mind to engage in superficial interactions. As developers incorporate these tactics into the apps, students find it increasingly challenging to retain information as the habit of rapid consumption becomes ingrained and difficult to break. With regards to the third point, research reveals that 44% of individuals engage in phubbing at least twice daily. This term denotes the act of diverting one's attention from a person they are conversing with by scrolling on their phone. Phubbing can be damaging to relationships, as per Thrive Global, with 25% of 2,000 surveyed individuals reporting that such actions lead to significant arguments among friends and family. The practice of phubbing is rooted in our disinterest and restlessness during conversations, drawing our focus toward more enticing sources of information. Essentially, social media developers have created a readily accessible and distracting virtual world on our devices, inevitably eroding our attention spans in a way. Finally, research has shown that task switching is linked to suboptimal information retention and poor task performance. Most studies examining social media usage, multitasking ability, and students' subsequent academic performance have identified a negative association between social media use and academic achievement. If you find yourself identifying with what's being discussed in this video, there are ways to combat social media dependency. For example, turning off notifications, turning on Do Not Disturb, deleting apps to declutter social media, and taking periodic breaks from your social media. If you want to specifically improve your attention span, you can try practicing mindfulness and meditation, removing distractions, reducing multitasking, and using tools to aid with productivity.